Is the Novablast 4 still the ASICS wild child? The original Novablast was my first serious running shoe. I covered over 750 Ks in that shoe. In the Novablast 2, covered over 800 Ks, and in 3 pairs of the Novablast 3, I've covered over 2,000 kilometers combined. In this video, I'll quickly run through the comparisons between the Novablast 3 and Novablast 4. I'll give you my first impressions after my maiden run in the Novablast 4, then share who and what I think the shoe is for. The Novablast 4 is still a maximum cushion shoe with a neutral pronation, as was the Novablast 3. It retains the 8mm drop from heel to toe, except there is a slight increase in the stack height in the heel and in the forefoot of 0.5mm. There has also been a weight increase in the Novablast 4 from the Novablast 3, but very minimal, only 7 grams, which is around about 1/4 ounce. The design of the tongue on the Novablast 4 is still a gusseted, half gusseted tongue, or what ASICS terms a tongue wing design, which hasn't changed from the Novablast 3, except you'll see some extra padding on the top here of the Novablast 4. The material of the main upper between the Novablast 3 and Novablast 4 remains the same, a jacquard woven mesh, except with the Novablast 4, 50% of the main upper is made from recycled material to reduce waste and carbon emissions. ASICS have also used a more eco-friendly way in the dyeing process for the sock liner in the Novablast 4. The limited edition one that I picked up has got a reflective design on it to improve visibility at night. It's still the back end of winter here in Australia, and especially where I am in rural Queensland, Australia. It's still getting dark pretty early in the evenings. The shoe has a Flight Foam Blast Eco Cushioning. It's more eco-friendly because it contains a 24% bio-based content. The outer sole design typically remains the same, and it still has that design or geometrical design to create that trampoline effect on the shoe. Another couple of nice additions on the Novablast 4 are the reinforcements on the eyelets down here, and also the pull tab on the heel. What were my first impressions after lacing up the shoe and getting out for a run? It was a 6.5K run, and I mixed up some paces on the run just to get a feel for the shoe. From lacing up the shoe, it was the expected cushioning that you would get in a Novablast, so not much change there, I think, between the 3 and the 4, but the time will tell once she's worn in a bit. The paces and efforts I hit on the run, I started off with a 1 to 2K at easy pace, and the shoe was as expected. I did feel snug not in a bad way, but more snug than you'd find in the previous Novablast models. And I think this is due to a few things. I think the padded tongue allows you to lock down the lacing a bit better, and I think it's more of a snug fit around the heel as well. So it allows a really good lockdown in the shoe that you're not probably used to in the previous models of the Novablast. At my easy pace, there was that comfortable cushioning that you're used to with the shoe. I could definitely feel that it was locked down better, not as loose and crazy as previous models of the Novablast. I stepped it up to tempo, pace, and effort, and that's when that trampoline or bounce back effect really began to literally kick in for the Novablast, and I was able to hit those paces and efforts as expected in a Novablast shoe. As I picked up the pace into tempo effort, what I really liked about the Novablast 4 in comparison to previous models is that lockdown that I described of your foot in the shoe, I think really assisted or complemented picking up the pace. And as expected in the Novablast, the shoe seems to feel better and perform better the faster you go in it. It still has that bit of craziness about it. I decided to throw in a few strides and really hit some hard pace and effort in the shoe to see how responsive it was, and no problems there. She was able to kick in straight away, and I was able to build up to that fast pace for my strides. One common complaint over the years for the ASICS Novablast model has been its grip in the wet. How reliable is it? They can tend to be a bit slippery in past models. In this one, I found a bit more extra and sticky. I was running in some damp conditions and over some wet paths, wet roads, not necessarily through puddles and wet patches, but it was definitely damp and I had no problems with grip there. Who I would recommend the Novablast for. I think the shoe would be great for novice runners with 3 to 6 months experience as new runners. It'd be a great transitional shoe to include in some more speed work and tempo work and cover pretty much anything that you're going to do in the shoe. I think it would be great for people who don't have a shoe rotation for particular shoes for specific run workouts. The Novablast 4 can pretty much do it all for you. For those who do have a shoe rotation, the way that I have used and will continue to use Novablast in my shoe rotation is for easy and recovery runs and even tempo runs up to an hour. Beyond that, I have other shoes in my rotation that are more suited to runs and run workouts other than those. As a person experienced enough to have a shoe rotation, I'm sure you'll work out pretty quick on where Novablast 4 can fit into your shoe rotation. So would I say that the Novablast 4 is still the ASICS wild child of runners? Yes. Would I recommend getting the Novablast 4 over the Novablast 3? Yeah, I would. I think because it's a more secure fit than the Novablast 3. Yes, it's still ASICS' wild child, but you can actually control the wild in the shoe rather than the wild in the shoe take you over. Original Novablast was definitely mental. It was out there. I loved the craziness and the unpredictability and the speed and effect that you had from that runner. Novablast 2, too tame for me. Got too traditional. Just put the shoe in a box. The Novablast 3 was basically the Novablast 1 on a leash. With Novablast 4, we actually have that wild child of ASICS, more so with a lever, where you take control of the wild, you take control of the crazy in the shoe. It's still there. I recommend it. If you did get something out of this video and you want to see more from me on running tips, tricks and tools on running, or even my running journey, please hit that subscribe button. God bless.